So, I am writing a book about my life. I started it 10 years ago, actually, and I haven't worked on it, in long periods. I've sort of just done it in fragments in between other projects. For one thing, I'd rather write fiction. I don't know, it's more fun than noting down exactly how something happened. It's kind of like with newspaper reporting. I have no interest in that whatsoever. I have no interest in in writing the truth. I'd rather just make it up as I go. I have to say I'm pretty full out honest in this book of mine. I broke it down into thirds, and I've only finished the first third of it. And again, that's partly because fiction is not as fun to me fantasy is not as much fun to me as fiction. Wait a minute, you know what I mean. So anyway, it's hard to go back. It's really, really hard to go back. I look over the outline that I made up for myself, chapter by chapter, and the events I was going to discuss. And we all have pain in our lives. We all have things that we wish we hadn't had to deal with. I can certainly say right up, absolutely without any hesitation whatsoever, there's a lot of people out there who've been through a lot more than I have. I mean, there's plenty of others who are a lot worse off than Craig. But still, there are things that I'm reluctant to really delve back into because they still bother me now, and the idea of dredging them up again just isn't very appealing. But I would like to share the preface, the prologue of my book, and give an idea about just what kind of book it is. And the first one is the preface. I call it Opening Remarks. The title of the book, What a World! Tales of a Hypersensitive with Halloween Humor, by Craig R. May. So, going into opening remarks, I've read a lot of memoirs, and frankly, I have found very boring those filled with nauseatingly upbeat humor and threadbare platitudes, and which tend to only accentuate the positive in the subject's life. To me, life is an LA ghetto. I don't see how anyone could see it as anything else. I don't believe in sugarcoating that fact, and so I find it much easier to stomach harrowing tales of trials, angst, and discomfiture than sunny stories of success, romance, picnics, and sticky-fingered offspring. Life can be twice as hellish for hypersensitive individuals as it is for the suck-it-uppers, who cheerfully laugh off reprimands at work or roll their eyes at others' emotional breakdowns. From start to finish, life hurts and unsettles us more than it does the majority, from misinterpreting the way a teacher looks at us as a child to agonizing as an adult over what we did to cause the inexplicable silence from a dating partner after we've met with them twice or more, had the time of our lives, and parted ways planning how many kids we'll spawn. As the title suggests, this is a book from the viewpoint of a hypersensitive with a certain sense of gritty black humor, Halloween humor, natch. Halloween humor, to offer a made-up definition right on the spot, is that grim levity which tends to come in very handy whenever one is in a vexing situation and faced with the question, how much worse can it get? Because when the situation does almost inevitably get worse, this humor allows one to double over laughing rather than scream and kill oneself. Hypersensitivity apparently has something to do with the overdeveloped nervous system, so I know it's not my fault. But being hypersensitive emotionally, aka fragile, vulnerable, deep, touchy, thin-skinned, gay, can be a problem, not in and of itself. It's actually a trait to be treasured. The problem lies in the fact that the world wasn't made for sensitive people. I don't know who it was made for, but it certainly wasn't us. Look around and take in the violence, the hatred, the sickening crime, the lack of trust between countries and cultures. Look at the bigotry, the arrogance, the rabid, constant, never-ending competition and one-upmanship, particularly all that in the name of a certain greasy green commodity that somehow always smells like BO. And yet the majority of people on the planet seem to be okay with all of this. Well, maybe not okay, but they appear to just accept it, go about their busyness without a tremor. Why not work in a steel mill 12 hours a day, 7 days a week? Screw the prick supervisor, it's good money. Money's all that matters, don't you know that? Why not constantly talk around you about all the people I've known who died tragically young and what they died of? Death is part of life. Get over it. Why not ruminate on the possibility of a nuclear attack from North Korea or China? Or the Illuminati taking over? What are you gonna do if it happens? Jump down the rabbit hole into Wonderland or fly off to Oz? More sensitive people, by and large, are not capable of that stoicism. And that is because the overly sensitive tend to see everything that is wrong around them and know in their hearts that it doesn't have to be that way. And it bothers us. The image in American culture of an overly sensitive person, even in 2020, appears to be a soft focus watercolor of a doe-eyed, teary, rather effeminate male or very delicate female in a white dress, alone in a garden, looking sadly off into the distance as if they not only just lost their best friend, but were blackmailed into helping kidnap, rape, and murder them too. This image is not accurate. Speaking for myself, a sensitive person can be very angry, volcano angry, usually because their feelings were stomped on viciously at some point in life and they have had to develop a fierce, defensive outlook to survive. What is toughest of all is to be a hypersensitive male. I may say this because I am one. Hypersensitive women do not, as a rule, tend to raise eyebrows or draw much scorn when they display the concurrent behavior because they're women. Women have always been considered the more sensitive gender, and so emotional breakdowns and outbursts, tearful compassion and sentimental inclinations are to be tolerated, nay, expected from them. I'm an actor, intermittently, and while I have no ambition to ever play in a Western, on stage or screen, I've always felt that if I did, I would only fit in as a character like Miss Kitty on the classic TV show Gunsmoke. Warm, generous, humanitarian, and sensitive under her tough exterior. I can't see myself as a righteously vengeful sheriff with 6 shooters, chaps, and spurs, chasing and gunning down an angel-faced young hunk of a bank robber in the town square. But I can see myself as the motherly, husky-voiced saloon keeper, touching the sheriff's arm and whispering as I look down at the robber's body, "Oh, Pete, he was only a boy." That's exactly how I see the difference between hypersensitive men and women and the way they are looked upon by society. It's okay for the gals, but the guys better stiffen their spines and show a steel upper lip if they know what's good for them. Incidentally, it blew my mind to discover how few books have been written exclusively about highly sensitive people. The bulk of the best of them are written by Dr. Elaine N. Aaron, and they are definitely worth checking out. What does that tell you? Tells me we aren't given a whole lot of thought or limelight. True, a lot of us tend to shun the limelight, but while I would rather quietly read a book at home than go to a birthday party, strippers or not, I still feel that I've been unfairly eclipsed because of my sensitivity all my life. Due to my reserved and retiring nature, which is a direct result of my constantly avoiding other people, along with their cruelty, insensitivity, aggression, stupidity, pettiness, rudeness, harshness, vapidity, I'll stop there for now. I have been chronically ignored, talked over, shut out, overlooked, in short, made to feel that I don't exist. To feel that you don't exist is not a good feeling, and this book is my chance to prove, at least in my case, that nothing could be further from the truth. This is my story of how hypersensitivity can blight childhood, adolescence, youth, relationships, career choices. It's also a story about how it can bless them. It's taken me a long time to come up with the second side of the story. My half-baked logic in writing it was that maybe if I tell you about my alternately rather pathetic yet greatly enriched life as a hypersensitive person, it will encourage you to write or tell about yours, and so on and so forth, until we will all finally realize that we are not alone and bond together to make society recognize and respect us at last. What good that will do is beyond me, but it's nice to think about.